You have to picture the scene to really feel it. One mountain, one man. On one side, 850 prophets of Baal and Asherah, a mob of priests and sycophants who've spent years cutting out God's name from the nation, replacing him with idols, and slaughtering anyone who opposes them. On the other side, Elijah, alone. The king is there too, Ahab, sitting back enjoying the spectacle, convinced that his troublemaker of Israel is finally about to be crushed. Jezebel's prophets have the numbers, the resources, and the favor of the palace. And Elijah? Well, Elijah has nothing but a prayer and some stones. That's what courage really looks like. So, how did he end up here? Israel didn't become corrupt overnight. It started the way it always does, with compromise. One little bow here, one little silence there, a few marriages to pagan kings, a few places built in secret. Before long, the people who were supposed to carry God's name were bowing to Baal and sacrificing their children to idols. But they still pretended to belong to God. That was probably the sickest part. They still showed up to temple sometimes, still kept the feast days, still quoted the law when it was convenient. And Elijah, well, he had enough. So he stepped into the middle of the nation and said what nobody else had the guts to say. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, then follow him. If Baal is God, follow him. But stop pretending you can have it both ways. Silence. The people said nothing. And they always say nothing at first. You know this, don't you? You've seen it. Speak up in a room and watch everybody stare at the floor. Post some truth online and watch everybody read it, but nobody dares to like it. Or even if they do decide to challenge it, they will not challenge your point. They will make a straw man and attack that instead. Stand up in church sometimes and call out the sin of the people in that room. You will feel the air leave immediately. So Elijah gave them no way out. He said, fine, here's what we'll do. You call on your God, and I will call on mine. We'll both build an altar. We'll both sacrifice a bull. And whichever God answers with fire is the real God. They agreed. Because when you've spent years putting on a show, you start to believe your own lies. The prophets of Baal built their altar. They slaughtered their bull. They piled up the wood, and then they started hooting and hollering and yelling like idiots. From morning till noon, they shouted. They danced. They cut themselves with knives until blood ran down their arms. But nothing happened. Elijah just stood there and watched them humiliate themselves. Around midday, he started mocking them. Well, maybe your God's asleep. Maybe he's on vacation. Maybe he's using the bathroom. Perhaps you should shout louder. So they did. They screamed until their throats were raw. They cut themselves until the ground was sticky with their blood. They danced themselves hoarse. But still, nothing. And that's what it's like serving a fake God. You pour yourself out for nothing. You bleed, you cry, you scream, and you sacrifice for something that will never love you back, never answer you, and never give you satisfaction. When they finally collapsed from exhaustion, Elijah spoke up. Come here, he said to them. And then he rebuilt the altar of the Lord. The details matter because the altar of the Lord was already there once, but it had been torn down. That's how far they'd fallen. They didn't just build altars to Baal. They tore down God's altar to do it. So Elijah rebuilt it, stone by stone, 12 stones, one for each tribe. He dug a trench around it. He stacked the wood. He cut the bull. And then just to make sure nobody could accuse him of trickery, he poured water all over it 3 times. So much water that it filled the trench. And then he simply prayed. Not a long prayer, not some dramaticer performance. There was no leaping, no hooting and hollering, no knives, no human being coming up and touching him and him falling to the ground and quaking like an idiot. Just this. Let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant, and I have done all of these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back to you. And then it happened. Fire. Not just any fire, biblical fire from the heavens. It didn't just light the wood, it consumed it. It consumed the bowl, the stones, the water, even the dirt burned. Nothing was left. And then the people finally saw it. Immediately they fell on their faces and they said, "The Lord, He is God." And then Elijah finished the job. He had the false prophets seized, and then he killed them all. Did you hear that? How many times has your pastor told you that truth? You don't get to leave the enemy half alive and expect your nation to stay clean. You have to cut it out, and you have to do it completely. That's the part people skip. That's the part the modern church would not dare tell you. The part where the blood runs and it costs you something. We love the fire part. Sure, that doesn't cause us any sacrifice, but we don't love the execution part. But that's the mistake. Both are necessary. So what about now? We don't have prophets of Baal in long robes dancing around an altar anymore, but the spirit of Baal is still everywhere. It's disgusting, and you can see it plainly. People bow to the god of money, to the god of sex, to the god of comfort, to the god of the almighty me, to the president of their country. Yea, for our side. They actually call him the God Emperor, unironically, and they think this is okay. They mutilate themselves for him. They sacrifice their kids for him. Oh, we can't release the Epstein files. Epstein files doesn't matter. Really? Are you even thinking about what you're saying right now? Nobody cares what Donald Trump did or what Epstein did. Epstein is dead. And if Donald Trump did anything prosecutable, we would already know it. It's never been about that. It's about the list of people who went there. But still, nobody gatekeepers online want you to pass a purity test. And they have sacrificed their own children for him. They have burned down their families for him. They screamed themselves hoarse and cut themselves open for him. And still, there is no fire. But don't be mistaken. God is waiting. The altar of the Lord is still broken, and he's still asking the same questions. How long will you waver between two opinions? The Lord is your God, not Trump. You follow God. And if not, then stop pretending that you are. You're not fooling anyone. The press secretary took off her cross because she is so ashamed of what she's doing that she dare not wear the symbol of Christ while doing it. Look, the truth is most people don't rebuild the altar because it means admitting that it's broken in the first place. It means taking responsibility. It means stacking the stones yourselves. But you're not going to do that, are you? Just like during the rallies and things like that, you hid behind the men that were there to protect you. And when they needed you most, you went back home and deleted your social media to try to hide yourself from the consequences. It means standing alone but you can't even stand with others. It means drenching the situation in water so nobody can give the credit to you when the fire comes, but all you want is credit. It means calling out the lies and killing them once and for all. Some of you have been wavering for a lifetime. Sure, you show up to church, but you're still cutting yourself for Baal in secret. You say all the right words, but you still got his knife in your hand. You cry when the fire falls, but you refuse to finish the job and tear the idols out by the root. We must all get along. God was peaceful. Jesus said to turn the other cheek. Well, let me give you the truth. It's time to choose now. Stop waiting for the crowd. Stop waiting for someone else to rebuild the altar for you. Stop waiting for permission. You already have it. Because the fire doesn't fall on empty ground. It falls on the altar. So you must rebuild it piece by piece. You have to stack the stones. You have to cut the bull, and you have to pour the water. You have to pray and stand, even if you're the only one left standing. And when the fire falls, and it will fall, don't just stand there and clap. Finish the job. Kill the lies, kill the sin, kill the fear. Because this isn't just a story, it's a pattern. This is how God moves. One man, one altar, one prayer, one fire, and everything changes. So here's the question for you. What is your mountain? What's your altar? What's your Baal? Have you ever been dancing around, bleeding for, screaming to, and getting nothing? What needs to be torn down? What needs to be rebuilt? What needs to be killed? You already know the answer. You don't need a crowd to agree with you. You don't need your God King, lecherous boomer president to approve of you. You don't need a queen to stop hating you. You just need to pick a side. The Lord, he is God, or Baal. You pick, and then you rebuild the altar and let the fire fall.